Welcome to Legacy Sips and Tips podcast with your geeky host, Lindsay Wheeler, where we talk about everything from death, preparing for your future through estate planning, life, the occasional breakup, entrepreneurship, general nerdery, and of course travel, snowboard, and always wine. Thank you guys for all joining us. This is going to be part 2 of our interview or discussion with Molly Wilder, and we are happy to have her. So you guys, had to, and Bridget, who's an anesthesiologist, she has those days where people don't make it, and you get invested with your patients, and she'll be like, I'm shopping, and I'm like, bad day, someone died. And she's like, yes, we lost somebody. Yeah. It's like, it's hard, like you said, like that woman was, you guys have dealt with her for years, and my friend's son passed away, and, you guys are human, and even they said, they're like, the doctors cried, like the nurses had to like leave the room and go to the bathroom for a while and have a moment because this was a young child, he's 18, literally just turned 18, basically.
And you have people who can relate to that. Other, like nurses have kids that are that age whatever. The gentleman that passed that had the necrotic bowel reminded me of my dad. Yeah. And so I was crying at that case and I don't even know why. Like I was telling my husband, I'm like, I don't even know why I was so like invested and connected with that family. But I was like, I did everything I could to try and keep that guy alive, but it just wasn't going to do anything. But this woman in particular, you get invested, and she treats you like family. We treat her like family, and we treat each other like family. Right. Realizing that one person's dealing with death, you feel it in the whole unit. For sure. We have, one thing to mention, when patients are going comfort care, or we are actively assisting them in death, we have candles in the unit, and like these little framed pieces of, it's like a little picture, like in a picture frame, but it says like, if this candle is lit and on, someone on the unit is actively passing. Please be respectful of your noise and things like that, just to let other families and people know that are coming in and out that we have somebody that's actively passing. Yeah. I can't tell you the number of times that we'd be coding somebody and a patient in the next room is worried about getting ice water. Right. And it's like, now's not the time, where their family members like, Mama needs ice chips, and it's like, fuck off. We got bigger fish to fry. Somebody actually passing, and you want them to be focused on that and have that care. Yeah. And so, without giving away too much information, but it's a small unit and you kind of know what's going on. But when you have one nurse that's kind of dealing with it, we all kind of deal with it. So in that moment, like I said, we told her we were all feeling down, that and she's like, I'm not afraid, I'm not scared, this is time for me. So we asked her, what do you want us to drink to, because we're going to get drinks later, and she said tequila. So we all went to the Mexican restaurant down the street and had shots for her, and everybody cried, and I'm pretty sure we scared the waitress, because she's like, what is happening? Right. So all like medical professionals come in. Everybody's in their scrubs and crying, and so it's one of those things that we have to put a face on a lot just to get through the day, and a lot of people don't show it until you get in your car and then you lose your shit and you start crying. Or like I said, I got home and my husband came home, and then I was like, oh my god, what happens? I was like ugly crying. It was bad for sure. Like I've had clients that I've done their estate plan, and then they've called and they're like, this is happening quickly, can you come to make sure we get some updates, or we make sure things are in order? And one client who I really liked, she was awesome. I had done some things for her over the years, and she was there, and everyone's giving her that kind of hospice care and that transitioning care, and I have to ask her. I ask people, like, because a lot of people don't ask them, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Because they're worried about everybody else. And she was really cool. She was just like, I feel really good. I feel good. I feel calm. And I said, well, that's because you lived a good life. Yeah. And it's and I've heard that too, that a lot of people that are scared, that aren't ready to go, have like unfinished business, or they've done something in their lives that they feel like they need more time to fix. And other people who are like, I'm ready to go. Yeah, I'm good to go. Yeah. I had one guy once, sweetest thing. He, and me, I will bend the rules to a degree, but he was lucid all the way up to the end. And he calls his granddaughter to tell her how beautiful she is, as he's sitting there like counting down the hours to when he's ready to go. And that's all he cared about, was like, he goes, that's my job, is to tell these people that I love them before I leave. So then his family, when they made the decision to go comfort care, his family came and they said, he wants to do one thing and one thing only. And I'm like, well, to a degree, what's the one thing? And he goes, he wants to have a beer with his sons before he leaves. Oh, yeah. And I'm a beer drinker, so I was like,
Of course.
What
would you like me to get?
I'm like, I'm not even gonna tell my boss that that's what I have going on. And anyway, so I was like, go get a 6-pack. There's a liquor store right down the way. I was like, go get a 6-pack, come on in here, have a beer with them. You guys tell me when you're done. Yeah. So they came in and they had a 6-pack and there was one off to the side. And I noticed it sitting on the table and I was like, whose is this? And they said, it's yours. Oh. And I was like, well, I can't drink it now. I might. Just kidding. Yeah. I was like, well, I can't drink it now. And they said, well, when you do, think of him. And I was like, oh. And so I literally watched them all cheers him. They drank down their beers, and then they came and they said, he's ready. Yeah. And so gave him his stuff. And that one was a cool one, too, because as we were doing his post-mortem care, I typically play music. And just kind of based off of my interaction and rapport with this guy, I was like, he seems like he's like a classic rock type of guy. Yeah. So I go to Pandora and I click on classic rock. And Stairway to Heaven started playing. Oh, that's cool. And like I said, I don't have feelers.
We have no soul.
Yeah.
But we're very emotional right now.
But at that moment, it's not the wine. But at that moment, I turned around and I looked at him and he looked so peaceful and he was telling me that he was ready to go meet his wife and see his wife. And then that played and I was like, God damn it. Why do you do this? And again, I'm sitting in there crying and everyone's just like, are you okay? And I'm like, stuff like this doesn't happen regularly. Yeah. There are these special moments, but and like I said, that's why death can be a beautiful thing, and it's a part of life. But having a plan and having your family be a part of that can be beautiful. But
yeah, it's a natural process that we all need to embrace and prepare for because it's literally going to happen to all of us.
Yeah, it's just a matter of when. Yeah, and how. But you can help. Yeah, make that plan.
Yeah. Okay. On that note. Poor Fidel's like, oh my God, stop talking.
What did I say to you today? And you were just like, no, you have interesting perspectives and stories. I mean, it is nuts. And I enjoy telling them because I don't think that people, I talk to a bunch of our friends that are engineers and teachers don't ever have shit like that happen, And so it's like, it's hard. I don't want to say that I'm a strong person by any means, but I think shit like that definitely puts you in a category on your own.
Yeah, and I think that's why we do what we do, or certain practitioners deal with certain things because we're able to do that, you know what I mean? Victim advocates, bless those people, having to deal with that, or, dealing with trauma with children, bless those people, because there's just horrible life things that happen that these people put aside their feelings, their emotions, their life experiences to help other people, and that is a very altruistic thing, obviously, and there are reasons why we have highest suicide rate, highest depression,
mental health is huge,
highest substance rates, highest alcohol and drug abuse, because we deal with heavy shit all the time, you know, the dirty part that people don't see. We deal with that and hopefully help people live as fully as they can, transition as peacefully and with dignity as they can, you know what I mean? And making sure that those wishes are fulfilled and taken care of the best we can. And yeah, it's rough.
And I hope too, when I'm working as a nurse practitioner, that's the time also to start kind of pushing patients to seek out your type of services of the hey, you've got 5 different chronic conditions that are only going to get worse regardless of how much medicine or whatever else you take. It really might be time for you to have that conversation. Yeah. And so, and again, I'm moving from acute care to preventative care, and you can
which I think is really good for you because you've seen the back end of it. So now you're transitioning into preventing that or helping people live longer lives or more fulfilled lives or understanding. And I think I don't know if it's just our society or the world or other cultures that death in most things are very taboo. We don't talk about it. It's oh, that's never going to happen. I don't ever want to talk about that. It's because if I do, it's going to happen. And you're it's not
either that
how the world
or
works.
People for example, my mother-in-law is, I don't necessarily want to say she's actively passing, but she's got a condition that will end her life. Right. And the fact that she chooses not to talk about it, I'm
isn't going to make it any better.
And her thought process, her rationale for that is that she doesn't want to upset the family. Right. And I'm like, you don't have a choice. Right. I'm like, anytime somebody has anything wrong, it's going to upset people, but you give them the time, the more you talk about it, you give them time to process that, and then they're not completely thrown off guard when you're in that, shit hits the fan moment and you've got 2 days to live and we had no idea.
Well, and that's the thing, with the one patient, she was prepared. She prepared everybody. She was at peace with it, and she's making it a beautiful experience of that transition. And that's why I always tell people, I'm like, people who do certain things or whatever, like helping somebody transition, especially if they're a family member, and helping them with that is a very important thing. It's a very beautiful thing that you should embrace. It's not a scary thing. Again, if you are scared and you are upset, you're going to then upset them and make them feel scared or feel upset when it shouldn't be, because it is a very natural process. And especially if you know kind of a little bit, like you can prepare, you can have those moments, and you can make it a very cool experience. Do you want music played? Do you want to have these things happen? You know what I mean? Do you want to have a beer with your kids? You know what I mean? Like you can make these things happen, but we have to know that for you.
Yeah. Mom always talks about it like, it's a journey. And it's literally like, how do you want your book written type of deal? And so she's like, you can have this like amazingly beautiful story, or you can have like, we don't really know what's going to happen. Like this ending sucks. Type of deal, where it's just like, you didn't have anything set up and you didn't have any plans. And now everyone's just pissed.
Right. And that's the thing that you don't understand. When you lack having this done, you're pissing off your family.
I have create a bigger problem than
so many people. Like when I do probate, they're pissed. They're angry that you have put them now in this position to not only not have the time and the ability to grieve their loss and to, go on that journey with them or help them transition that now you're sticking them with paperwork and court processes and hiring people and digging through paperwork and paying for bills. They're pissed. Yeah. You don't leave your loved ones pissed, frankly.
Well, and Dad, when Dad's dad died, he had pretty bad dementia and a bunch of other things, and he had nothing set up, and it took Dad like 3 years, an extensive period of time, for him to sort out all of his estate. And then he was fighting with someone who was claiming to be his wife, though there was no marriage certificate, and where money was going. It was never about the money. It was never ever about the money. We didn't even know what he had, to be honest. So it's like, we can't be pissed if we don't even know what's there. But just finding out, getting phone calls after phone calls after phone calls from banks, that Dad's just like, oh shit, I didn't know he had money over here, he had investments over here, he had this shit over here. But again, they're like, well, this woman says that they're legally married, but you're next of kin, like, where does this go? And Dad had no idea, because it was something he never spoke about with his dad, and realized he had nothing set up. And so it was a shit show. And Dad was like, I do not want that for you guys. So our folks set stuff up, and they're making things easier for us and easier for them.
Or are they? The family wealth is buried in the yard somewhere, and they have to find it.
Yes.
Which you can do in your estate plan, which we did. Yes. They have to have a hide and seek when they have to find the estate.
Yes. Which will be fun.
Yeah. It'll bring the family together.
But it was interesting to watch Dad and him say that specifically. Like, he's like, I didn't realize that my dad didn't have anything lined up. And, he was traditional, so he thought he did until after he died. And then again, the fact that it took 3 years to settle someone. So, brutal. That grievance piece is one part.
Well, it's put off at that point.
It just keeps coming up every time someone would talk to him about his deceased father. And it was just, you're just reopening that wound every time you have to deal with something. And it was just, Dad was like, I don't want that for you guys. So, I mean, they got their stuff taken care of. We got our stuff taken care of, families.
And that's why I say, I don't care if you go to me. I don't care who does it. Just get it done.
Yeah.
Just get it done. Again, we offer the different tiers, so you have really no excuse to not get it done. If you go to a different practitioner who handles different things personality-wise, I don't care. Just get it done.
Yeah.
Just get it done, everyone. Yeah, please do that for your family. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you found value, please like, subscribe, and share. And be sure to follow me on all the socials at Sips and Tips with Lindsay. And of course, you can always go to my website, sipsandtipswithlindsay.com, to find more information about estate planning, business, snowboard, travel, and of course, wine. As always, we have to get the legal stuff out of the way. I went to law school, so you don't have to. However, we have to read the special disclaimer that I am not a practicing attorney. I am not your attorney. I am not offering any legal advice in any content or any episode. All content is for your information and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for seeking your own legal advice from your own attorney or other professionals such as a CPA or financial advisor. I cannot give legal advice and do not offer any legal services or legal advice, but I do offer some fun and educational content for you to enjoy.